we continue with our coverage on the bribery claims against suspended IDT CEO Tebogo Malaka. Daily Maverick releasing a video today showing her allegedly offering journalist Peter-Louis Myburg 60,000 rand to stop him from investigating irregular tenders. This is in relation to the over 800 million rand oxygen tender plant for hospitals. Now, Public Works Minister Dean Macpherson will tomorrow respond to the claims outside a Cape Town police station. For the time being, let's try and grapple with these issues. Joining us for this conversation is Outa's Wayne Duvenage. Mr. Duvenage, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. Before we get deeper into the issues here, the oxygen plant tender that we know now is the subject of a Hawks investigation. Here is Minister Macpherson on Thursday, who is understood to address the media outside a Cape Town police station. Is it telling what he is going to be doing tomorrow in relation to the latest developments?
Yeah, hi, good evening. I think so. It would indicate that criminal charges are going to be laid, and this is the type of accountability that we look forward to when it comes to this type of tender manipulations. Far too often we see people implicated getting let off the hook and allowed to resign or go on long leave, and nothing happens to them because it gets forgotten about. So we're hoping that not only will dismissals happen here if there's enough evidence or disciplinary action takes place, but that criminal charges are laid, and let's see where it goes to from there.
Let's talk about the tender system, Mr. Duvenage, because it has been the subject of discussion in the country for a very long time. And I put it to Peter-Louis Myburg, the journalist who was allegedly being bribed here, that if we look at what was being offered to him over and above the 60,000 rand is for his company or companies to be plugged into the Independent Development Trust tender system in order for his companies to start benefiting from these contracts. And I asked the question, does that tell us how easy it is to manipulate these tenders and which way they go, even with the knowledge that we are told there are rigorous steps before a tender is issued? What does it tell us about the tender system?
Well, it tells us that it's very weak, and we've seen this, by the way, in many different government departments throughout the CETAs, NSFAS, Department of Transport. It's very rife. So all they do is once you're on the procurement list, or the suppliers list of the department or government, then you're A for away. And then what happens is they manipulate the bid evaluation committee process and the bid adjudication committee process. And they knock out the various tenderers, the so-called compliant tenderers, through really rigged up and minor issues. They don't allow them to score points on certain things, which if you investigate them closely, they will put them down as errors or a bit of oversight. And they really are technicalities to leave one or two parties standing. And then you see, and some of them, like in this one, there's a ghost tenderer. So you'll have ghost tenderers in there, or others that are putting in bids that are too high, and the next one comes in that's just below it. And so it looks like it's not manipulated, but it is extremely manipulated. And then you see the prices you're escalating. So they'll come in on the ground floor, and then this will have been left out, but the tender's now closed. It's too late to go out and tender. And so they allow these leniencies in the pricing. It really is a gross manipulation of the system. It's a well-worked art, by the way, and it's a well-utilized scheme throughout government, and it is costing this country billions of rands every day.
Let's wind down the conversation, Wayne, and talk about the brazen nature of what we saw here today. And 60,000 rand is placed on the table for the journalist to take this and walk away and essentially make the investigations go away. If anything, start writing positive stories about me. Does Ms. Tebogo Malaka become a shining example of how brazen corruption has become in the country, and what lessons, if any, should be taught through exactly what she was trying to do? Because there is also sophistication here. Peter gives us insight into his latest investigations, and that is that much of what appears to be her private wealth that's been accumulated over time, it has been through trusts, because he doesn't say there's a trust. He appears to point to trusts that exist where she is now constructing a private home in one of the luxury estates in Gauteng, and there doesn't appear to be a home loan or a mortgage that she's financing this through. And so there are obviously millions of monies in these trusts that have been accumulated. How does she get this money? Where does it come from? Is it to assume that it comes from these tenders?
Well, one would assume so, and I think if you follow the money, it's the age-old money laundering tactics and processes, which is why we call for more stringent reviews of the banking system just before this to be allowed to happen. I mean, you and I know if you get R500,000 in from an investment or something, you've got to explain a lot to the banks. But it seems that too much money is flowing here, but it does flow through. We watch this modus operandi. It goes through properties, and normally that's how you wash a lot of this money. But I think, the way she handled herself, there's absolute, as you say, brazenness and complete stupidity. But I think we must give, credit to Peter-Louis Myburg and the media. I mean, it's this type of investigative journalism that is just so important, because once you start to expose and then civil society starts to follow up and the media put the spotlight on the story, it really does help in the fight against corruption. But without a doubt, this is probably money that came from that tender. And, to try and lure him in with a 60,000 Rand cash bribe on the table in broad daylight like that, it is complete brazenness. But, I think greed just blinds people to the realities of what's going down. And then if people look back at this, they're going to wonder how stupid they were. And that's exactly what it is. It's stupidity caused by blind greed and brazenness.
Final question to you, Wayne. And journalists, particularly investigative journalists, they do no different, or at least as I see them, they are no different to whistleblowers who become targets of those that want to silence them. And in South Africa, there is no shortage of paid-for hitmen. How risky is the work of journalists, particularly when they're going to uncover nonsense such as this, what we watched today?
Yeah, very risky. Take our hat off to the journalists that uncover stories like this, because they know they're in the firing line. When they push people to the edge, and the perpetrators of this crime know that these are the individuals that are going to expose what they're doing, they can get taken out. In their case, in the whistleblowers' case, inside organizations, they get fired on trumped-up charges. They get suspended, and sometimes, like Babita Deokaran, they lose their lives. So it's extremely dangerous. And we know that Peter-Louis Myburg and others that do this very important work take extreme cautions. But if it's we really have to get on top of the real problem here. And that is put in place the criminal courts, the teams, the task teams, the criminal justice system. There's so much that has to be done, but it needs a political will and the support and the finances and the forensic audits to get on top of corruption in this country. Because what we're exposing here in this one case is just one, but many. Yeah. And there's a lot of work to be done.
Thank you very much for your time, Wayne Duvenage, CEO of Outa, the organization undoing tax abuse.